Hi Bold Bakers! Easter is about bringing the family together, and I can't think of a better way to do that than with chocolate. I'm really proud to be partnering with Ghirardelli chocolate again, who makes life a bite better. For this holiday season, I'm going to share with you a recipe for an incredible 5-ingredient brownie roll, guaranteed to be the star of this show. As always, the recipe can be found on biggerbolderbaking.com, and make sure you head over to my website because I'll have all of the information about the chocolate that I use over there. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the hero here, like I said, is chocolate. Now here I have some Ghirardelli 60% bittersweet chocolate chips. You know, watching Bigger Bolder Baking, I love these guys. So what you want to do is just add these into your bowl. So you heard me preach this before, but using good quality chocolate like Ghirardelli in your recipes will take your dessert from great to extraordinary. Okay, lovely, and now next we're going to add in a little bit of water, and this just helps it melt and makes it easier to work with. So now what we want to do here is melt this chocolate. You can do it in the microwave or you can do it over a bain-marie. Just take care and do it quite gently because you don't want your chocolate to burn. So this only took around a minute. Now the reason you do this first is because you want to make sure it is nice and cool before you add it into the rest of the ingredients. So I'm going to set this over to the side and I'm going to get started on making the rest of our brownie roll. So the first thing we're going to do is whip up our eggs. Now if these guys are at room temperature, they'll whip up so much better. Now for those of you who don't eat eggs, unfortunately you can't substitute them in this recipe. They're a really important ingredient. So now what you want to do is turn your mixer onto like a medium-high speed and let these whip up really well. So it will take around 3 minutes or so. You want to get it nice and thick before we add in our next ingredient. So this has gotten nice and thick. Now at this point we're going to add in our sugar. Now what you want to do here is stream in your sugar nice and slowly. If you dump all your sugar in at once, it will deflate your eggs. So just do a little bit at a time and let it drizzle in there. And then after around 3 or 4 minutes, you're going to see it get nice and really thick. So my sugar is in there. Now I'm going to let this whip up until it gets really lovely and thick. So like I said earlier, this is a 5-ingredient brownie roll. Really simple, just a few ingredients. One ingredient you don't need is flour. So this actually makes a really great Passover dessert as well. So the reason that we're getting these eggs so thick is because the air in these eggs is actually what's going to raise our cake. Like I said, there's no flour and there's no raising agent. So you need to get these lovely and thick to get a nice puffy cake. So this is exactly where I want it. So I'm going to turn down the machine a little bit, and I'm going to add in my cool melted chocolate. So while that chocolate is mixing in, I'm going to add my last ingredient, which is Ghirardelli semi-sweet chocolate chips. Because this is a brownie roll, you gotta have chocolate chips. So this is all mixed up, it's looking good. You will notice that it deflates a little bit. That happens when you add in the chocolate, don't worry about it. For right now, I'm going to turn this off the machine and we're going to get it into our baking tray. So here I have a 10-inch by 15-inch tray. This is perfect for making a roulade and it's nice and big, so it'll probably feed, I'd say, around 10 people or so. Now, as you can see, I've lined it with parchment paper. The thing about this dessert is that you need that extra bit of parchment paper because we're going to need that to roll the dessert later. So make your sheet nice and big. So here I have my big bowl of brownie batter. It smells so good. Look at how bubbly and delicious it is. So all you want to do is just pour this onto your tray. The good thing about these batters is they kind of find their own way around. It'll even out and get nice and thin. If you want to give it a little bit of a helping hand, just spread it out with your spatula until it reaches the corners. Gorgeous. So I have a few extra chocolate chips right here, and all I'm going to do is just sprinkle them over the top of our brownie roll just to make it a little bit extra. Perfection. So as quick as this was to make, it actually bakes in less time. So bake your brownie roll off at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius for roughly around 15 to 18 minutes. It really takes so little time to bake. So I'm really happy with how our brownie roll looks. You can tell that it's done because if you push down in the middle, it's kind of firm underneath your finger, and it's lovely and brown all the way around. This is fantastic. I did notice that our chocolate chips took a little bit of a swim into the roll, but that's okay. It just means that there's more chocolate on the inside. So I'm okay with that. So what I'm going to do is just set this over to the side, let it cool down only for around 3 minutes, and then I'm going to show you a really great trick. So this trick is about rolling the cake. Now what you want to do while it's still warm, don't let it get too cold, is take that bit of parchment that you have extra and start to roll your cake. Very carefully, go slowly and start to roll it up. And what we're going to do is kind of mock roll it. So when you go to roll it later when it's cold, it will have that muscle memory of being rolled up and it will roll up so much better. And then very carefully unroll it. So this will just ensure that your cake doesn't totally crack later on. Cracks are okay with these cakes. It's part of their charm. You just want to try and prevent them as much as you can. So as you can see, it did crackle on top. I'm totally fine with that. It's going to look beautiful. I'm going to set this over to the side and let it cool down a little bit longer. So it's been a few minutes and my cake has cooled down. So this is my next trick. What you want to do is lay a nice clean tea towel over the top of your cake. And then we're going to take a cooling rack and lay that on top. So this is where you have to be pretty swift. What we're going to do now is flip the whole thing over. 1, 2, 3. Like that. So you'll see in a minute the reason why I flipped this over. For right now, you just want to take off your baking tray and then carefully peel back the parchment paper. Now take your time, go easy, because you don't want to pull up any cake with it. Ah, look I see the chocolate chips. There you are. They were supposed to be on the top, not on the bottom. And then very carefully, lastly, we're just going to slide out the cooling rack from underneath. Perfect. So now the reason for that big hullabaloo was because we actually fill this side of the cake. We don't fill the other side because the other side is our presentation side. It has all those lovely cracks on it. It's going to look really good. So right now we're going to fill this guy with a little bit of whipped cream. So a bit of advice when filling your brownie roll, less is more. So I'm going to put on some whipped cream. I'm just not going to put on too much. You don't want it too thick, and I'll tell you why. Once you go to roll this all up, it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger, which sounds delicious, but you don't want it to be monstrous. So just put a little bit of cream. Perfect. And what you want to do is just spread it almost to the edge. Leave a little bit of space. Nice. Now for the rolling. So this is the part where you have to hold your nerve. This is the rolling, and this is where the tea towel comes in really handy. What you want to do is just carefully start to roll, moving the tea towel around and letting the cake fall over itself. Now, if you're seeing any cracks, don't worry. That's totally fine. We'll cover those up. And then you want to finish it on its seam, just so it all stays together. So I moved my brownie roll very carefully onto my platter. Sometimes this is a two-man job. Olivia had to come in and help me. So just take care when you're doing it. So when serving these roll cakes, what I like to do is just slice a little bit off each end. The reason that I do this is so it'll fit on your platter beautifully, and also you can see really clearly what's on the inside. Then just tidy around the platter and make sure you keep those bits. Those bits are for the cook. Now the next thing we're going to do is garnish this bad boy. Here I have some chocolate ganache. You can also use chocolate sauce, melted chocolate, whatever you like. And I'm just going to drizzle this very carefully over the roll. There's two reasons that we do this. It's going to add another layer of chocolate and a nice different texture. Also, it's going to cover over any cracks that we want to hide. So drizzle over, fill in any holes, and make it look beautiful. Gorgeous. Such a simple way to decorate a cake beautifully. So I have a little bit of leftover whipped cream, so I'm just going to pipe a few rosettes on top, right down the middle. So this dessert is for the whole family to enjoy, so I've got the perfect thing to top it off with. Here I have some Ghirardelli dark chocolate sea salt caramel eggs and some Ghirardelli milk chocolate caramel bunnies. Perfect for this dessert. And all I'm going to do is just unwrap these. I'm going to put some in the cream to hold them up, and they kind of mark a slice, so everybody gets a chocolate and they get a slice. Gorgeous. I like to go between bunnies and eggs. You can choose whichever ones that you like. So there you go, an amazing show-stopping Easter dessert for the whole entire family. I think I'm going to have to bring it over to my table. I set this brunch table to share this dessert with everyone. Make this brownie roll a part of your Easter celebration this year. So while my friends and family are in the other room enjoying, I snuck in here because sometimes the chef doesn't actually get to taste any. It all goes by so quickly and I forget to enjoy it myself. Oh man, it's really hard to believe that with just 5 ingredients, some incredible chocolate and a little bit of creativity, you can make this show-stopping dessert. Without a doubt, this is going to be a fan favorite this Easter. A huge thank you to Ghirardelli for sponsoring this video. It definitely makes life a bite better. Thank you so much, and I'll see you back here really soon for more bigger, bolder baking.